Well, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, depending on what part of the world you're in. My name is JP Owen. I'm the North American Sales Manager here at Lely, and we're excited to have you join us in the first of a series that we're calling Lely's Way to Dairy. So on this first episode here today, I've got some great guests that lead a number of different initiatives here within the Lely group. And so I'll ask them to start to introduce themselves. Ben Thorpe, why don't you start for us?
Thank you, JP. As JP said, Ben Thorpe. I lead our milking team. My title is Milking Proposition Manager. And what that entails is ensuring that we have a team and support as well as products that are fit for our North American market. And we're here to tell you more about what that means today.
Thanks, Ben. Dan Schreiner.
Yeah, thanks, JP. Yeah, so Dan Schreiner, so the proposition manager for the feeding and manure products. So my role is the exact same as Ben's, but Ben is on the milking side, and then I cover all the feeding portfolio, and then the manure products like the collector as well. So
perfect. And last but not least, Dan Myhock.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you live. My name is Dan Myhock. I've been with Lely a little over 10 years, primarily in an FMS role, so supporting our Lely centers and ultimately customers in the western region of the U.S. and initially Canada as well. And over the last several months, been transitioning to a role within the commercial product specialist team, working closely with Ben Thorpe and everybody in the management level.
Perfect. And if you can tell, as we were planning this, we didn't realize and think that through to have two Dans. So put your high school helmet back on, and we're probably going to use last names just to make it a little simpler. So bear with us on that one. But, the intention behind this is really just to kind of have a conversation around Lely's philosophy and the why and how we arrive at some of the things that we do. And, I guess my first question to kick it off would be to Ben Thorpe, just around, can you go into a little bit more around the why behind our milking solutions and how we arrive at where we do?
Yeah, definitely. So, Lely came to the market with a milking robot quite a long time ago in the early 90s. And we have continued to refine that over the last 20, 30 years. And what we've always put our emphasis on is centering our products and our focus around the cow. And what that really means is allowing that cow to have her 5 freedoms for as many hours of the day as possible. And we deliver that through all of our solutions. But on the milking side, our milking robot really optimizes her life within the barn to feed, milk, and achieve all those data points that we get out of that milking to make better decisions and insights. And with those data and insights, we can manage those cows on an individual level, but at a herd scale. And I think if we think about it that way, we're really a fit for a large variety of sizes. But what we're ultimately striving to do is to maximize on that cow's genetic potential. And I think every dairyman can align with trying to get the most out of those animals' genetic potential.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think, if we look at the feeding side of it as well, that's surrounding the cow, right? And every decision we make. And, I guess Dan Schreiner, can you expand a little bit more on our philosophy and the why around our feeding propositions?
yeah, I mean it's a lot of these themes are going to be repeated because the reality is everything we do we circle the cow. On the feed side we talk about the right animal, the right feed to the right animal 24/7. And so what we're doing, we're looking at the cow, how she naturally behaves in the environment, and using automation to take those routine tasks and to maximize her potential with her biology. And how do you do that? It's multiple fresh feedings a day, feeding on demand, like we do with the vector. So we're a cow or any of the animals are going to eat a lot of small meals throughout the day. In a traditional system, you're going to feed them once, maybe twice a day. With the Calm, with Cosmics, with the Vector, we're going to feed multiple small meals throughout the day. So she's getting the exact ration that's designed for her every single time that feed is delivered. So again, it's just the right feed 24/7, which is exactly what we want to do. Feed that rumen, make it consistent for the cow in how she would naturally behave.
Yeah, that consistency in natural biology, the cow is kind of consistent theme throughout throughout our ethos here at Lely. And one of the things I think through as well is just, and I think Ben Thorpe kind of touched on it, was around maximizing or realizing the full genetic potential of that individual animal. And maybe Dan Myhock, could you expand a little bit more on that from your perspective of surrounding the cow and maybe more on the management side of things?
Yeah, so to my way of thinking, this automated milking, automated feeding is all about creating opportunity. As you know, when we talked about putting this session together, I try and step back and, okay, what am I going to discuss, or what message do I want to get across? And I searched the Council on Dairy Cattle Breeding, and I think that slide is on display right now. Is that pulled up, JP?
It is, yeah.
Okay, yep. And so viewers can see that genetic gain over the past 50 years is anywhere from 80 to 150 pounds each year. So there's a increase in genetic potential and genetic gain every year. And when I think about, okay, why does somebody want to engage in automated milking? It's really, to me, an opportunity for them to make a leap. How are they going to get ahead and get on a higher plane to get all they can out of those cows? So really, when I think about the need, the desire for automated milking, it's really about that opportunity for the cow and the producer. Our parents, our grandparents, even our great grandparents always said, you take care of the cows and they'll take care of you. We've all heard that, right? But the reality is that's true.
Yeah.
If you do take care of your cattle, they will take care of you. And I think, the automated system, all the barns we've been in over the course of time, we see those cows, acting like cows should act. And they're not being forced to do anything. I know when I'm forced to do something, I usually put my hand up and say, wait a minute, does this make sense? But if I'm left on my own designs, yeah, I'll do it. So that's kind of how I think about this whole system.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as we kind of go into this next iteration of, we all come from producer backgrounds in one way or another. And, I guess my next question would be, if I put my producer hat on, yeah, great. What does this all mean for me, right? How does this correlate to, money in the bank, which is the ultimate goal, I would suspect, for most commercial dairies?
Yes, I'll take the first stab at that, unless Thorpe, you'd like to.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So again, it's all about that opportunity, JP. And we hear a lot about, it's really a small herd thing. Automated milking, robots are made for small herds. But I think actually the opposite of that is true. The desire of small herd owner, small herd producer, they can take care of each animal as an individual. That's kind of logical thinking, right? But when you look at it, and the ability to identify, milk, and feed to an extent each cow as an individual animal, that opens up a host of opportunities for larger herds. And I think you've got another slide up there. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, the influence of genetics and management on animal production. If we look at this slide again from the Council on Dairy Cattle Breeding, we see a big uptick in management influence in the late 80s, early to mid 90s. And when you think back, that's kind of when curtain-sided freestall barns came into play, sand bedding became more used, more widespread use came into play. And we see a big uptick in management influence. But since that time, it's kind of leveled off and even dipped in some instances. So again, what's going to be that next management technique that kicks those herds up to a higher level and gets the most out of those cows?
Well, and the reality is when we shifted to that, we were shifting to group housing, right? And the management changed in the management style, and that was really fine tuned. But there's only a certain point, when you have, especially as the groups get bigger, there's you can only manage to a big group up to a certain point, and then you start losing efficiency to those individual animals within that group. And in a traditional method, you can't do that, right? Versus now, through the milking robot from milking perspective, but also a feeding perspective, we can really fine tune down to that individual animal, but still treat them as a group.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, and Dan, I think what you bring up, right, is that throughout history, there's been new and improved tools that get put in dairymen's hands to continue to drive towards that, closing that genetic gap. And that's really what we're here to talk some more about today is new tools that get put in dairymen's hands to close that genetic gap. And with our Lely portfolio, we do a lot of that in catering to those individual animals like we discussed, but it's coupled together, right? So to Dan's point, our manure solutions and our feeding solutions and our milking solutions all work together in unison to help deliver that best environment and that best, hopefully contributing to the best management abilities of those animals.
Yeah, and relay that back to our software proposition, right? That allows you to make better informed decisions on that herd, right? And I think one of the biggest, maybe the biggest misconceptions that we've seen is, we've been milking cows and robots now for 30 years, and for sure in the beginning, we were targeting smaller farms, right? The 60, 120 cow dairies, and maybe a leading question for the group, but I know from a sales perspective, being on a lot of these farms, that is changing rapidly in the size dairies that we do business with. And so, can you guys shed a little light on what you see in terms of the large herd proposition and how robots fit into that? I'll ask Dan Myhock first.
Yeah, so I think it goes back to what we talked about just a few minutes ago, is the ability to manage that cow as an individual, yet still be in that large herd environment, take advantages of that economies of scale that you've already invested in, but still manage that cow as an individual. Likewise, with some of the information that we're getting and learning more about cows every day, but some of the information we're getting allows you to just focus on those attention animals. And we all want to find that ghost cow, that cow that's making 200 pounds of milk a day that breeds back the first time and never gives us a lick of trouble. And we're able to let her do her thing while just paying attention to those cows that we need to look at on a daily or weekly basis. Compare that to locking up a group of 400 cows for 2 hours. And if you find the ones you need to, great. If you didn't, well, hopefully you get her the next day. And that scenario is flipped on its head in robots.
Yeah. Ben or Dan, anything to add from your perspective on that?
No, I think it definitely is flipped on its head, to Dan's point, and that's a change process, right? And going through that change process requires a bit of patience at times, but we see the benefits that result in that because it is focused around the cow. There's been lots of things in the history of dairy that have required that change process, and this is just another one of those instances.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is management by exception which is what we, what we call it when, you're looking at it and just flagging those animals that need the management, works for herds of all sizes, right? So what we're going to do is take those sensors, take the technology, summarize it down so you can easily identify which animals need to have some attention, and then let the rest to their own device and just act naturally and take care of themselves in the herd. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you think about, allowing that cow to express her full genetic potential in the management style that we do. Having a big batch of cows come in, stand in a holding pen for a couple hours a day, while we still have, some really exceptional cows performing in those. What we have seen is, like Dan Myhawk talked around, those cows that are just absolute race cars, right? Performing exceptionally well. And how do we get out of her way and let her do what she's designed to do? So if we transition a bit more to, the dairyman's life, right? So great, we're surrounding the cow, we're taking care of her. She's going to, fully realize her genetic potential. But maybe Ben Thorpe, if you could talk a little bit more around just Lely's philosophy around how we install, how we service. What is that ongoing relationship look like between a dairyman and Lely?
Yeah, definitely. We go at things with a first time right mindset. And what that really means is we approach things to predict and prevent. And we do that from all the things that we talked about on the animal side. So whether it be measuring all of those data points in her milking to be able to predict and prevent animal health events, or milking process events that maybe need to be refined. But that extrapolates out to everywhere else in install, that we need to look at things in that predict and prevent lens. And from a machine standpoint, right, we have a first time right process that we follow to ensure that our systems get installed by our Lely partners, our dealers, Lely centers. And that's done to a standard that will achieve success for many years to come, right?
Well, and the reality is the way we're connected to, right? The Lely centers are the front line. But if any time when things are connected to the cloud, all the support, the data, comes up to Lely North America all the way through international. So if there's 95% plus can get handled right there on the farm. But the reality is a lot of things can get diagnosed remotely as well. And in their support, there's a lot of depth to the support that gets delivered to right to farm level, right? That's going to help make sure that things are 24/7, both on the machine side, but then on the farm management side as well. I mean, Myhawk, you've spent years, actually all of us did, because three of us started on the farm management support side. The focus on helping those farms and just sharing that experiences across the globe of what works, what didn't work, right?
Yeah, that's really translating that data into those actionable insights on the farm so that they can improve or tweak where they need to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We I would say we at Lely and in turn our Lely centers go to great lengths, I would say, to help people make the transition. And I don't want to understate how important it is to think about that transition from conventional to robotic milking, because it can be a challenge, but that doesn't mean that challenge isn't worth it. In fact, I think it most definitely is. Again, it's all about creating that opportunity, and Lely's commitment is doing what's best for the cow. And I don't know if you said that earlier, Thorpe, or not. I can't remember, but that's really what our company is focused on, doing what's best for the cow. And when we think of that cow in terms of milking and her biology, we want to do it the same on every quarter for every cow and every robot every time she's in there. And you think of the biology of that cow. So what is she on earth to do? It's to raise her calf. She provides nourishment for her calf. That's what she does, her job. And when you harvest, or when you go in to harvest that milk and don't harvest all of it, you sent a signal to that cow that, hey, my calf doesn't need all this anymore. I'm going to start prepping for the next lactation. We don't want to do that. We want to harvest all the milk she's got to give. And that means milking her at the right time. We have a motto, milk the right cow at the right time. And we talk about that quite a bit. And it's very important that people engage with their FMS support at the Lely Center level to make sure that that's done properly on each dairy. JP, I see you pulled up another screen. And again, going back to the opportunities for cattle, this graphic is a display of cows in North America, milked in Lely robots, separated by parity, and it shows the number of visits they get within certain days of milk in their lactation. So for instance, first lactation animals, 0 to 30 days, are averaging about 3.5 visits per robot. And obviously that access to milk during that visit is determined differently on each dairy based on production levels. But again, this is about opportunity. Think back to when you're making the decision of whether you want to expand your conventional operation, or perhaps dip your toe into robots. Think about the opportunity for the animals and the money you've put into genetics over time. And then look at this chart and look at the opportunity you're providing for those early lactation animals to potentially be milked. Then go and think about that animal in a conventional setting where a batch of cows are going to be collected and brought up to the milking center, and that high producing cow could stand there for a couple hours and then try and fit all her eating and resting and drinking and socializing time requirements in the day. And that's going to happen 3 times a day. And then you look at this graph and see the opportunities that are created for those animals. And again, I can't stress enough the importance of maximizing that opportunity.
And Dan, just for clarification, this graph is if that animal started in that lactation in the robot, right? I mean, and it would be a little bit different, when at the very first startup, if I came middle of lactation and starting in the robot for the first time.
Yeah, this graph is cows being milked in the robot in North America over the last year. So there's thousands of animals in this information. But to me, that's really telling. You look at second lactation animals that are 0 to 30 days in milk, they're visiting the robot almost 5 times a day on average. And again, it's up to the individual producer how often he wants to milk that cow. But then think about those first lactation animals that it's all about number of milkings, proliferation of udder tissue, and driving that lactation curve. Again, opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, and the reality is just for the people that are watching too, this is the total number of visits, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're being milked.
Correct.
When we set that, we set it based on amount of potential milk harvest, and every farm is a little different. And so an animal might visit 4 times, but if her production's just say 60 pounds, for example, maybe she only actually gets milked twice, but it's just the visit. So again, the natural biology is driving her to that robot to unlock, so when she is a high producing animal and can have milk harvested more often, she can do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of chatter in the industry right now about different cow flow systems, and obviously Lely is free cow traffic. That's what we believe in. and there's good reason for that. But it's not a conversation I get too wrapped up in. To be honest with you, it's again, if you're gonna get the most out of these cows, then you have to provide the opportunity. And then for each individual producer, what cow traffic system does that for you? And you've got to balance your checkbook against your production level, against your labor availability, and all those things. So yeah, lots of chatter about that, but then think back to this and what's going to fit best for you.
Yeah, and the reality is there's a lot of different ways that we can adapt our systems to different management styles. But yeah, when we talk about free cow traffic, that's from years of experience of what we feel is the best all around management, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean that it's best for every single person, but it's just from experience what we like overall, right?
Yeah, and I've kind of sorry, Ben, I've kind of used the O word a lot here today about opportunity. And when it comes to industry chatter, one more thing I want to bring up is, I hear a lot and read a lot about minimizing or even eliminating feed in the robot. And I understand the argument. I mean, we're all logical people. We get the argument. But again, to me, that's a tremendous opportunity that's lost if you don't put some feed in the robot. Number one, you're generating traffic. Now, where I'm not talking about overfeeding, I'm talking about feeding the right amount. And that's work you have to do with your nutritionist. But if you don't feed anything in the robot, you're kind of going to get what you get. And I again, opportunity, the O word, it's an opportunity lost if you don't do that. And
that's exactly where I was going to take the conversation, Dan. So thanks for going there. This whole feeding concept, we really have the tools at our fingertips to be able to couple what's best at the bunk and what's best in the robot, and the data to be able to tell us, are we feeding that right ratio? Are we getting the right results? Does the cow respond in terms of visits, in terms of milk production? That whole balance and targeted nutrition is really a key to achieving an ROI in one of these systems, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and the cool part about it is the way it's set up. I mean, you put in the parameters that you want on the herd, and then the machine goes and does it for you. When you're feeding at the feed fence, feed to need. Conventionally, you're gonna have to shoot for maybe 2, 3, 5, 6% over the amount of feed that those animals need in a particular day, and hope that's enough to carry them over till the next time they get fed. Versus when you automate it, feed multiple times throughout the day, it's always going to monitor the dry matter intake and add feed when those animals need feed. So deliver more often when they eat more, and less if they eat less feed. So you're really able to not only customize for those animals in the robot, but you're really able to reduce overfeeding and feed refusal shrink on that feed fence as well. So you're really, from an opportunity, you really gain a massive amount of efficiency for the feed, both in the milking robot and on the feed fence.
Dan, is there a way that I should know the answer to this, but I don't. Is there a way you measure accuracy of the MFR?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so much data that goes through there. I mean, we know how much feed by ingredient for every load that goes out the door, and so it compares that to what the ration is. And there's accuracy reports on there, and the fact that you're automating it, it's very accurate right from the beginning. But yeah, you have the opportunity if something maybe isn't loaded quite right, that you can adjust those settings as well too. So
yeah, I saw a presentation a while ago with a bullseye target, and in terms of how often does a feeder hit the ration that's on paper, and what's being fed, and what he intended to put in the mixer. And we all see some things on some of these dairies that make you scratch your head and go, wow.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes you're forced to make decisions, right? You have a TMR that's designed for the milking herd that's going to deliver feed fairly quickly, once or twice a day. Now you have a machine that's built to feed 24/7. So not only do you have the opportunity to be accurate on the mix, but because you're feeding all throughout the day, conventionally say if you're feeding at 6 a.m., at 10 a.m., that feed is different than 2 p.m. That's different than 6 p.m. Now we're feeding the exact same ration. So what you get at 6 or 10 or 2 or 4 p.m., it's the exact same ration, and it's designed with with the whole herd in mind. So those special groups, the close-up dry off cows, the heifer pens, those smaller groups, you can also make a ration designed specifically and accurately for them as well too, which is something that's hard to do normally.
Yeah, key point there. Let's be honest, quite often we hear, it's slow and small. Well, the fact of the matter is it's running 24/7, 365. Yeah. And quite often, as we all know, the most difficult mix is that small one for that smaller group. Well, when you've got a machine that's running 24/7, 365, you're going to be able to feed all those groups as well as accurately get those small groups.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if we want to try to open this up for some questions as well, we'd like this to be a little interactive. But if you look at Lely's philosophy and kind of our guiding light, about 2 years ago, a group of individuals from around the world collaborated in saying, where is the future of Lely in 2035 and in 2050? And as you look through this, these build on top of one another, and you can see here that animal welfare, that's one of our biggest drivers, right, in terms of surrounding that cow, letting her express her natural biology and the welfare of that animal, as she is the income producing unit on the dairy. I think for our producers online, it's no secret, you feel it more than anybody at the time, that our industry is under scrutiny, right? And from a misinformed public, that we want to continue to improve our environment, make sure that we're operating in a sustainable way, as well as offering nutritional dairy products, and creating that buy-in from our consumers of our products. But ultimately, and kind of the pinnacle of our goal is that farmer prosperity, that the partners that we work with on dairies, right? So our customers, their prosperity is at the top for us of one of our goals. So with that, we've got some questions coming in. We've got about 20 minutes here or so. And so if I can, I'll ask for a few questions to come in as well, but we've got one to start here now. This would probably be for Ben Thorpe, but it says, at what point will Lely introduce AI in our day-to-day operations, production cost, reproduction, health action, revenue gain or loss, and be able to build decisions based on facts?
Great question. And I think that's a question that's on a lot of people's minds as we think about what AI, what machine learning, what all that can do for us as we move forward into the future. And how Lely views that is, obviously we're very much engaged in that. And even in some of what you don't see today in our platforms, there's AI on the background that's driving some of that, right? If we look to what some of the future may bring, many of you may know that we launched a product called Zeta at our last Yellow Revolution, and that's all focused around computer vision and gaining more insights out of that computer vision to couple with all the other data points that we collect. And we really see AI as a key part of making actionable insights out of that data going forward, right? You can't do that all with a human brain, and we'll continue to build on some of the decision support that we have today, but other aspects of artificial intelligence that will bring us into the future.
Awesome.
Yeah, if I could add to that, as I see it, and I'm the farthest away from being an AI aficionado, but to me, it's a little bit like you use Google on your computer. It kind of takes what you give it and then starts to determine what you're going to look for the next time. And so I see AI as being interactive. I mean, you've got to feed the machine with the way the course you want to take. So to me, there's a little bit of a misunderstanding right now that it's just going to give me back information. No, you've got to interact as well to get some of that back. So I just throw that out there. That's my opinion on it, I guess.
Yeah, another question here, and this is more around the vector, but do farms with a vector get higher production?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's a big. It depends. The reality is, what's the herd production beforehand, and where were the inefficiencies before? What I would have to say is, while production doesn't always go up, we see a lot of benefits in almost universally when we install the vector. One of them, components wise, maybe production doesn't go up, but milk or energy corrected milk in a lot of cases improves, just because feeding more consistency means a more stable rumen, and then components improve. You also see some of those more soft benefits as far as animals transitioning to different stages, calving, things like that. There's no the nutrition program a lot of times falls apart just because of what you can physically do that the vector can overcome. So it really smooths out things. And that's where you really see animals starting to excel, as far as peak milk and things like that. If they can take off through the dry period and get into lactation set up perfectly, they can again reach their biggest potential. And then you can't forget the grower side as well too. From those, a lot of times those animals, after weaning, I don't want to say they're forgotten, but they're not given the most attention, right? And now we have the ability to really customize and feed those animals exactly what they need as they grow, and growth rates, first calving date improvements in a lot of cases, things like that you really see. So going back to the original question, yeah, you can see some production improvements on some farms, but it's not 100% universal, but you definitely see benefits on farms feeding with the vector.
And do you have any way or type of estimate of the reduction of shrink when moving from a traditional TMR system to a vector, or the reduction of waste, I guess, kind of same thing?
Yeah, that's, there's a lot of variation from farm to farm, but it all comes down to what they were doing before. There's a lot of advantages of where you save feed. For one, with the feed kitchen, feed center, you're mixing feed inside. That is an improvement no matter if you have the vector or not. But our system, we need to have it indoors, which massively improves shrink. If you're looking at how much feed refusal you're shooting for, generally speaking, we're probably on the vector system. There's always going to be a little bit of feed refusal, but we're talking, down to maybe 0.5%, something like that, really low amount of feed. So if you're feeding for 5%, now you're getting half. Well, that's 4.5%, right? So, we see farms, when you're looking at the whole picture of all the different points of where you can save, between mixing it inside, feeding management that way, There's a lot of farms where you can see 5, 10 plus% feed efficiency or feed savings just from, again, reduction in shrink and feed refusals.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question came in. Still, we'll stay on the vector theme for a second here, but can you give us an overview of how much time it takes to manage a vector from day to day?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things where, it's still going to take time through the day. Generally speaking, again, depends on how it's exactly configured. But if you're talking a conventional or a traditional Lely system with the kitchen only, you still have to load that kitchen. Some farms it's once a day. Sometimes it's 2, 3, 4 days that they're going to load. You don't need to be as precise loading up the feed. You're just filling the kitchen. So generally speaking, we're probably saving about 2/3 of our labor. So you still have to clean up the kitchen, still have to clean up the bunk and deliver the feed. But because you're just grabbing, the feed, whether it's in blocks or loose, from corn silage and just putting it into the kitchen, you do definitely save a lot of time on labor as well too.
Is there an amount of time that you suggest people spend on a daily maintenance on the vector itself?
Yeah, I mean, there's checks, there's daily, weekly, monthly checks for maintenance. And, really what it comes down to, if you're doing it every day, it's just minutes. It's just minutes every day that you're doing it. Now, if you don't do it, for so many days in a row, well, then it's going to take a little bit longer to make sure that, lasers are cleaned and things like that. But yeah, just keeping up on daily maintenance really helps keep things efficient and takes very minimal time for routine maintenance.
Yeah, another question in here, and I think this pivots back more to the milking side of things, but how do you manage animals/herds that are on different locations?
Yeah, I'm assuming that means robots on different locations.
That's what I'm assuming as well.
Yeah, it's that can be a challenge. There's no doubt about that. We do have API interactions with different herd management software, and that is expanding all the time. Oddly enough, if you have a Horizon license on one location and one on another, there's no interaction there. It's a challenge that we have to overcome. There's no doubt about that. I think that's what that question's referring to, but I'm not entirely sure.
That's what I would assume.
Yeah.
Another one here, maybe a bit more of a tactical question than a couple good ones to follow up with. So for robots, right? So milking robots, how many robots can I put in a pen?
Yeah, that is a good question. I think that the answer on that depends on your layout. I'd like to hear what the other two guys got to say too, as far as the infrastructure you have on your farm. So from a practical standpoint, typically we see 2 and 3 robots in a pen. I mean, that's kind of what we see. You do have some dairies with 4 robots, and I'm sure we're going to see 5 and 6 in the future. But what it comes down to is you're going to have I don't care what type of cow traffic system you've got, whether it's free cow traffic or completely force flow, you're going to have some fetch cows. So to me, it's a matter of how many cows per robot you have, and then how many robots you have in a pen, and then how much time you want to spend in that pen interfering with the normal behavior of cows. And we always say you want to get out of that pen within 45 minutes to an hour, and that's it. So yeah, I think I hate to sound we sound like farmers. We're saying depends, and the answer it does kind of depend a bit. But I see 3 as being really, really accommodating and fitting a lot of different systems.
Yeah, and little management units.
Yeah.
Next would be, what are Lely's thoughts on the future of automation in the dairy industry, and how does Lely plan to stay at the forefront?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're always looking for innovative ways to find the next solution to eliminate repetitive tasks on the dairy, right? There's lots of talk about why doesn't Lely just create a robot to go on a rotary parlor. I don't think you'll ever see that out of Lely. It's back to centering the cow and what our beliefs are in terms of allowing those cows to achieve that potential. And what it will be is more focused around how do we make life in the barn easier and easier, right? And as we move forward into the future, the solutions that we come with will continue to make that easier, coupled with all of the data and the insights that we bring to making sure that we're only touching the cows that we need to touch, right? And it's back to what Dan said earlier in terms of pen sizes, but there's all this peripheral stuff that goes around managing the day-to-day life of a cow. And we're aiming to think about things maybe a little outside the box and bring solutions that bring an outside the box thought to how we manage those animals.
Absolutely. This next one says philosophical concept and product direction is one thing, but what kind of support is to be expected after purchase, including training and ongoing assistance?
Yeah, I can start, I guess. I mean, we touched it a little bit earlier, but local Lely centers, we have the technical service support and the farm management support people there locally to help on a regular basis. And if there's any questions, and then generally speaking, there's some routine follow-up appointments. Lely North America itself, we do a ton of trainings for the Lely centers, and also we do help locally with the Lely centers with different classes and meetings and things like that to help transfer knowledge, and then all the way up to international helping as well too. So we really try to operate as one seamless team as much as possible to make sure that all the information and all the learnings that we have, from maybe it's from Germany that goes to North America, maybe it's from something from British Columbia that we share knowledge with in Virginia. We have that flow of information that we are constantly trying to keep people updated. But in the end, it really comes down to making sure the local Lely center is the main support for you, because local support is always the best when it comes to being able to respond quickly to your needs.
Yeah, I would add to that we do a lot of classes, a lot of training. Conversely, when talking, and we want to do that through the Lely Center. Local is best. Conversely, I think if Lely is asked by a customer directly to provide some training, we make every effort to fulfill that request, maybe to a fault, but we make a lot of effort to try and fulfill those if asked. We just can't guess.
Yeah, next one is, does Lely offer any financing for their product?
Yeah, JP, maybe you want to answer that.
Yeah, I can take it. I'd be happy to. So we do partner with DLL, that is our in-house Lely financing, that work with both in Canada and in the U.S. Yes, in short answer, we do. Okay. If I want minimal labor and maximum efficiency, how would I lay out my pins?
New builder.
Yeah, there's a lot of ifs in that one.
Yeah, I'd and to my way of thinking, every barn starts with how are you going to handle manure, and then you build a system around that. So how are you going to handle manure? Number one, I have things I'm partial to. I would say I really like I like what's called a toll booth setup, where cows just walk from the pen directly into the robot, don't really not have to make any turns. That's become something I kind of like, but that doesn't mean there's others that don't work. I strongly recommend, if you're considering robots, get together with the area sales manager, and he can start putting together a plan with you along with the Lely Center salesperson. But start with your manure and build around that.
Yeah, and a lot of it depends on how you want to manage your cows day to day, right? I mean, when I started way back in 2011, we had very few special needs pens, and now there's very few farms that don't have it. So you can automatically sort based on certain criteria. But are you going to do, just the ones that are, maybe, sick that are in that pen, so you need a really small pen, or are you going to do all of the herd management in that pen, and then it needs to be bigger, or are you going to have headlocks in the main herd to do the general herd management in the main pen? So the reality is, it's kind of, there's a lot of preference to how you want to get things done.
Yeah, those are important things to consider in the design phase, is how are you going to manage those cows as well. So, you think about it, you could have a cow with another health issue standing next to a cow that's in heat, standing next to a cow that is going to be enrolled in an off-sync program, and think you can enroll cows in an off-sync program every day. And just by sorting them to a separation area and dealing with them that way. So we have calculators that you can use to determine the size of a separation area. And I always think of that area in terms of like a closet in a house. How many times have you ever heard anybody say, I have way too much closet space? Nobody ever says that. And I rarely hear people say I have too large of a special needs area, because from time to time they get full.
And with the collector, you can manage things around, right? You can, before having things in line with a alley scraper or something, the collector, you can adds a ton of flexibility on how you want to set that up too.
If anybody is curious, we have a lot of experience in the field in terms of how to manage those layouts and what can work best. And I think, as we've already kind of hit on, right, that management style varies widely. So with an install base of over 7,000 robots, you can imagine that we have everything from locking cows up every day to doing very, very, very complex routing criteria to get cows to where they need to be at the right time for the right people or the right team, and everything in between. So.
Yeah, bottom line with this, I think we've stated it time and again, this is all about the cow and creating that opportunity for that cow and doing what's best for the cow. And as you design your facility, think that through all the way. Is a lockup the best for my pocketbook, my labor situation, and what I'm able to build? Yeah,
for sure.
Awesome. Well, questions are kind of slowing down here. We're at the 55-minute mark, so I'll put a plug for any last minute burning questions before we kind of wrap up here. I don't see any coming in, so just wanted to give a bit of an overview. If my mouth.
Hey, JP, can I interrupt you for a minute?
Yeah.
Obviously we don't see the questions, but a couple. Are there names attached to them? We can respond to them in more depth, if that's possible. I'm happy to do that if we have names attached to them.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a few attached. Okay. Some were a little gun shy and posted anonymously, but that's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So one thing before we go, I'd like to put out an advertisement for a Lely U class that we have upcoming. So that gets into the farm management details in much more depth. We talk more fully about milking that right cow at the right time, the Lely way of milking. One of my colleagues, Katie Meyer, goes through some heifer training research that she's done. and daily maintenance on robots and those kind of things. So that's going to be coming up May 27th, 28th, and 29th. It's a 3-day online, we call it a Lely U class. Couple hours each day. We also hear from Anton Borst, who's a longtime Lely customer. He's been in robots about 20 years. Probably forgot more than he knows anymore. But it's a good class. We've heard a lot of great things about it. That invitation will be coming out through your Lely centers in the next week or so. So look for that and please attend.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. And so lastly, we want to thank everybody for their time. Thanks for hopping on and getting to listen to this discussion. This is kind of a one-off style of these upcoming webinar series. So there's 5 more coming up. The next would be June 10th with Milk the Right Cow every time. So be watching your inboxes as these invites come out. We would look forward and love to have you attend. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thanks.